Round 3 of the SailGP season saw the 8-boat fleet come to the UK, Plymouth, just down the road from here. But when the action started, rather than heading west, I turned east and went into central London. I went to Ealing Studios, which is the heart of the TV operation for SailGP, where I've been asked to help produce some of the features. It was a pretty exciting job. And as it turned out, I had the best seat in the house. So, if you were a little tied up last weekend watching some of those other smaller events, the British Grand Prix and the Tour de France, I think it's called, you might want to take a look at this.
8 teams, 6 races, close calls, tough talk,
What on earth were you wanting to do there?
controversy,
That is rubbish. They couldn't get to us, umpire.
and one defining move. Welcome to SailGP. Welcome to Plymouth.
Keep going. Come on. Hurry up, boys. Come on. I love this show.
In England's southwest, the historic seafaring city of Plymouth overlooks the Sound, which has for centuries been the home port for the coming and goings of some of the world's greats, including Cook and Darwin. This time, the stage was set for some intense racing. Famous for hosting top international sailing events, Plymouth welcomed the world's fastest one-design sailboats and the best inshore sailors. The crowds were in, summer had arrived, and Britain's Ocean City was ready to go for the 3rd event of the season. A season that had seen an explosive start.
94 kilometres an hour is incredible speeds. Big issue in the middle of the fleet here. This is the battle for the final. Whoa, Phil Robertson nearly falling overboard. Total control to Sir Ben Ainsley. They are the winners here in Bermuda.
The first Italian Sail Grand Prix. The Americans are going nowhere fast.
Jimmy Spithill stopped.
Japan SailGP gets the big victory. To the scoreboard for the standings after the first 2 series, and surely it's a scoreboard full of surprises. Spain in their first season at the top, Great Britain in second is no surprise, nor Japan in third. But look down, defending champions Australia in 6th place, the USA is in 7th. Australia stunned with their last place in Taranto, Italy at the last event. But for the USA, it has been bad luck after bad luck throughout this season.
But Spithill is a king of the comeback. His experienced and accomplished team are no strangers to pressure. Rome Kirby and Paul Campbell-James have been here before. They know how to turn fortunes around. So too does Australian driver Tom Slingsby, who had the benefit of solid local knowledge with Devon-born Nick Hutton on board. Japan's driver Nathan Outteridge and his crew are always a threat. Great Britain's Paul Goodison was standing in once again for Ben Ainsley, and keen to make his mark. And so too was Phil Robertson, who, as interim driver for the Spanish, needed to deliver a good result to help in his quest for a seat next season, while keeping his team at the top of the leaderboard. For the French, communication was an issue.
Just trust me too, huh? I don't know what you want. Okay. What on earth were you wanting to do there? Here we go. I would like to go at this point. And I went, and then you said no.
The bottom line was clear. 6 out of 8 teams have been on the podium this season so far. In Plymouth, the pressure was on once again.
When it came to configuring the F-50s, the forecast for light winds meant that the fleet would be using the medium-sized all-purpose wings. The largest wing option, which has been developed for these kind of conditions, is still in final testing.
Below the water, the job of the foils is to lift the boat out of the water, reducing drag and making the boat capable of incredible speeds. For Plymouth, the largest of the 2 foil options would be used.
Both sets are 2 meters deep. but the longer wingspan of 2.8 meters allows the boats to lift, or pop as they say, at around 27 kilometers per hour. The light air option would also be used for the rudders. They too have a larger wingspan to ensure flight in light winds.
Each race sees the fleet set off across the wind at high speed before rounding Mark 1 and heading downwind to the first gate. And the quickest way to the bottom of the course is not direct. Once through the gate, sailing upwind means tacking across the course, where teams often split to pick the strongest breeze and the best wind shifts. Once through the top gate, it's a fast ride downhill again. And after 2 more laps, it's through to the finish.
Here we go, 5 seconds to go, race number 1 at the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix.
And the gun goes. The Danish are just over. They are OCS. It looked like they were going to get a perfect start, but that is not the case. The Danish were over early. They're going to get relegated to the back of the fleet.
This is the umpires. OCS Denmark, OCS Denmark, target New Zealand, target New Zealand.
Race official confirms that the Danish were OCS. Let's jump to the front of the fleet again, and it's Australia that launched off the bottom of the line. A risky place to launch from, but it looks like they've got the boat on the foils. That means double quick into Mark 1.
Tom Slingsby in Australia, the defending champions in SailGP, out in front. Just off the right-hand side is France, the USA, currently sitting in third. The wind is picked up from what was projected, and so this should be a really good race today here in the first of 3.
Big moment coming up here, Todd. This is the first jibe of the race, and the boundary's coming up quick, so all of these boats have got to throw a jibe in very quickly. You've got to throw a jibe in and keep the boat out of the water. Don't let those holes touch. A lot of shouting there between the French and the USA. I'm sure there'll be a penalty flag. Back to the Australians. They stayed on the foil. This is an opportunity for the Australians to sail away.
This is the umpires. Penalty France, relative USA, and penalty is clear.
So leg 2 of 7. It's Australia out in front. The defending champions have the lead. The Americans sit in second after they were infringed upon by the French, who have dropped back to third.
They're talking about a duck here, Matt, on the Japanese, ducking behind the Spanish. The Spanish got out of phase. They've taken a place here.
Oh, wow.
Nathan Atteridge, wow, just behind the Spanish, and they're going to split gates at close to 50 kilometres an hour, 90 kilometres an hour closing speed.
Picture perfect foiling right there as Tom Slingsby and company doing everything right here in the first of 3 races in Plymouth.
Over triple the wind speed. That is unbelievable. And listen to the hum of the foils. This is full Sendy mode.
Race number 1 in Plymouth goes the way of the Aussies.
Nice work, boys. I didn't think we were going to get it for a little while then. I was a bit nervous.
And the Americans coming in with Jimmy Spithill at the helm. They had a great race. It was just the start, but he's going to want first in the next race. The opening race may not have delivered a win for the Americans, but it was a step in the right direction after 2 disastrous previous events. At the start of the new season of SailGP, everyone around the championship sat up and took notice when Jimmy Spithill announced he would be taking over the USA team.
Probably the best results in my career to date has been representing the US, so I'm very, very fortunate and honoured, really.
One of sailing's most successful athletes, Spithill has competed at the highest level for over 2 decades, and expectations for his new look team were high until disaster struck in Bermuda.
Certainly didn't envisage starting the first event being taken out by another boat.
He's collided with the US crew. This is a big moment on board here that hopefully no one's hurt.
Bad luck did not stop in Bermuda. Spithill lost valuable points in Taranto after hitting an underwater object.
Oh, that looks bad to me. Crash down to the water. Oh, Jimmy.
You can't control everything in a game like this. The fact that we race in the ocean, you can't control what's sort of under the water.
Without those 2 incidents, the US team would certainly be challenging for a top spot, but find themselves in 7th, with Spithill eager to make amends.
Everyone's reacting in a way that it's been extremely positive. I still believe we can win this season. The fact is that it is a multi-event competition and there's plenty more opportunities on our way.
But Jimmy and the American team needed to start taking those opportunities quickly as race 2 got underway.
The Spanish put the bow down. If they get a pop on here and get an acceleration, they will absolutely launch onto the racecourse. Have they nailed it? As the gun goes, they could be a little deep. Australia in a good spot again. And it's the Australians who get the start again.
So Australia gets the jump on race number 2 with France just off the left-hand side. The Americans look to be a good spot, but they get crowded out. And this is the chaos before the calm, and they hit mark number 1.
The Australians started there with a very similar setup as they did in the first race. They found a nice little formula, and it's working for them.
And once again, it's Australia out in front. France having another great run. Remember, they had a good run in race number 1 until the penalty was assessed. That allowed the Americans to move into second.
We're crossing. Danish are going to land down here. Yep.
Looks like Denmark have taken second place, and here we go. They're crossing. The French there, the Danes are in second place. They had to keep clear of the French there, but they were clearly ahead. Looks like they might make this top mark, and that'd be really good for this Danish team, which also hasn't changed crew. So also one of those 3 teams that need to have a good event here. It's an opportunity.
This is all about winning for Australia, and they're going to make it 2 for 2 here on the first day of racing of 2, and they will take the first 2 races of the day. A huge win here at the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix. Tom Slingsby and company take a bow. Third race here at the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix, and here's where it gets chaotic. Who's going to time it right?
Oh, man. What? God, man, if Phil Robertson gets away with that, it will be something else. Wowee, what a run into the top of the line there from Phil Robinson and the Spanish. They got it wrong in the start of race 2. They nailed it in the start of race 3. That was a proper cheeky manoeuvre.
This is the umpires. This is the umpires. Spain, you have been black flagged from the race.
Black flagged out the race!
Phil Robertson.
So that
Phil
means
Robertson goes from being Houdini to black flagged.
Oh man, listen to the... Phil Robertson's not happy. He's been kicked out of this race. Send your boat back to the dock.
No one could get to us, Prix.
We're on board with the Americans here. Would they have cut him in half if they kept going straight? Yes.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, they'd have sunk him.
look at the Brits here. Look at the local team, the home favourites.
This is the result that Goodison was hoping for when Ben Ainsley stepped off the boat.
So we're going to see a simo-tack. Who can do the best foiling manoeuvre? And in the background, the French are hanging in there. The French might have something to say about this. Can the Brits stay on the foil? Yes, they do. That's a lovely high-pressure tack. The French are coming in from right of picture. The French are going to have a big say in what happens here.
Great job by the US, though. They did a great job earlier on in driving down to stop the British from being able to attack. They knew what they were doing there. They would have been talking about it.
No one can match the speed of Jimmy Spithill. Big surprise for me, Australia, who had been dominating the first two races, 2 wins in a row, sitting now in 7th.
After a boom-bust day, America was back on top, leading the rankings. But the team was clearly unhappy about the start of race 3.
He's done it so many times, he's going to kill someone doing that. First in SailGP's history.
It's obvious Phil has done this more than once. This isn't like his first offence. It's well past 3 strikes. So I'm not at all surprised to see him black flagged. I think it's justified because otherwise we're going to get to see someone get hurt. He's taking too much risk.
And they weren't the only ones expressing concern. Tension was building in the fleet.
It's about time that Phil got the black flag. Like he's always high risk in the starts.
It doesn't surprise me if you barge in that you're gonna get a penalty.
I think it's absolutely fair that they should get a black flag, and you know, we've got to keep these boats in one piece. We've already seen one too many big crashes.
We should have got one in Bermuda, and all the sailors got together and we said, look, this isn't on. The umpires have got to step in when deliberate rules are being broken. So I was very happy to see that.
I don't think it's dangerous when boats are going that slow, you know. Everyone else was doing, I don't know, 20 kilometres an hour or something. They were pretty parked on that start line. So we had speed, we had manoeuvrability. We managed to wiggle around. I don't think anyone had to avoid us, so happy days.
Spain had paid a high price for a big gamble. A black flag meant disqualification. So how had the umpires made the call? And how serious was this for the Spanish? After day one, 3 teams had broken free, but Spain's disqualification in the 3rd race had been a contentious decision.
This is the umpires. Spain, you have been black flagged from the race.
Black flags out of the race! Phil Robertson.
Rubbish. Yeah, we just had a quick look at the footage, and I mean, in my eyes, that's at most a penalty against the USA boat.
Phil's getting a bit of a reputation for doing that sort of thing, so we weren't surprised at all.
After the incident in Bermuda, we had a review of contact, damage, and also our penalty process, you know, to discourage, you can call it dangerous driving. And so we looked at this and we came up with a policy, and we talked it through with the sailors. The advantage gain is so huge, in the order of 250, 300 metres potentially, because if you had to bail out and go around in a big circle, you would lose a massive distance. But he nearly got it, he nearly did it. He was nearly the golden child. It was a spectacular start. He was literally centimetres from the line. His timing was perfect. But unfortunately, other boats that had the right of way were too close, and they had to be the ones that gave way. And so he breaks the rule. It leads to a black flag.
I guess we got punished pretty hard, so I expect to see that sort of precedent being set for the rest of the series, and any boat that offends at the windward end of the line is going to get disqualified.
Day 2, and the crowds turned out once again for the 2 fleet races ahead of the final.
Hello and welcome to the 2nd and deciding day of SailGP's first visit to Britain's historic ocean city of Plymouth. The world's best yachtsmen take to Plymouth Sound in front of big crowds on shore and on the water, with 3 races scheduled. 2 fleet races to decide the top 3 teams who go into the final, and that all-important final race. So this is the calm before the chaos. Race number 4 set to go underway. Is everyone hit it right? Look at New Zealand. Did they get it? Yes, the line goes 0 and New Zealand up and foiling.
Wow, did you see that start from the Japanese though too? They really squeaked it through a small gap there. They saw that gap that we talked about. They were behind everyone else and they had speed all the way through it and punched out into 2nd place.
Slow turn, that's the voice of Nathan Outridge, the driver of the Japanese boat, and we've got a split around the first leeward gate, Todd.
So this will be huge. Where the top part of the screen is where more of the pressure seems to be, and Arno Sarafagas has a nice run going here, but so does Nathan Outridge for Japan at the bottom.
This is interesting. The Japanese are sailing a further distance here to get round through the windward gate. New Zealand are going to the right-hand mark.
All the way to boundary again?
Talking about all the way to boundary, that was Nathan Outridge going, yes, we are going to go all the way this way, as the British close right up on New Zealand here. What will the British do?
What a dip!
Oh, they're asking for room. I don't think they've got it. Matt, you're the rules expert.
No, they didn't have room, so that yellow circle there, if they weren't inside overlap, when they got to that yellow circle, there is no room for them.
So it's Japan, SailGP bouncing back from yesterday. They currently sit in 7th place, 1 off the bottom with just 9 points, but they will pick up 8 points in a big win in race number 4. So with 5 seconds at the line, wait for the line to go white, and it does, so everyone's clear. Japan, did they do it right? No penalty, going the way of the Japanese.
This is the umpires, penalty Japan, relative Australia, relative Australia.
Japanese have got to get behind Australia. I tell you what, guys, it is lighter. We called it before the start, and these boats are struggling to foil, apart from France and Great Britain, who have popped and are leading away. This is massive news for France. They're one of the boats defending that top 3 spot. Really nice round-up by the British there. Lovely coordination between the 3 boys at the back of the boat. The grinders working hard to trim that wind sheet on. As things stand, this is a great win for Great Britain, but they need to see Australia drop to the back of the fleet.
Look at this crossing as Phil Robertson once again into the mix, and he's going to drop down off of foils and pretty much just hits the e-brake right in front of the Australians. And much to the delight of the fans here in Plymouth, Great Britain SailGP gets the win in race 5.
Well done, boys. Really nice day today. A bit nicer when you're in front, huh? Why did we complicate it so much yesterday?
I think we get 4th.
Oh, we did all we could, huh?
Goodison was clearly happy to score a home win, but this was the end of the road in Plymouth for the Brits. From here, points no longer mattered. The 3-way shootout was now between Australia, America, and France.
For one sailor in particular, this was special.
I grew up sailing in Kingswear, which is opposite Dartmouth, which is just literally around the headland a little way there, and it's so nice to be back in Devon racing with SailGP, and it's a top-class racing circuit, and we're very happy to have it here in Plymouth. Plymouth as a sailing venue is amazing. It's called the Ocean City, so they understand about the sea and everyone gets it. It's a great opportunity to showcase what SailGP can do and what we can bring to the city of Plymouth. For me, it'd be great to win the UK event at pretty much home. Literally, I'm 10 miles around the coast, so it does feel like home, and it's a real treat for me.
But while the competition afloat was intense, the racing doesn't stop when the boats come ashore. Throughout the season, there's another competition that's engaging the teams 24/7.
Competition, it's in our nature. It drives technology, performance, progress. Moving faster, pushing harder. Our sport is powered by nature, and we're entering a new race. Welcome to the SailGP Impact League. In the race for a better world, every positive action is a step closer to a cleaner future. Competing to reduce waste, increase efficiency, and shine a light on climate change. Our teams will earn points throughout the season across every aspect of their operations. We're here to make an impact.
The Impact League has a set of social and environmental sustainability criteria, from pioneering new technologies, focusing on clean energy solutions, and removing all single-use plastics, to diversity and inclusion, and using the team's voice for good. Each team is audited and awarded points based on its fulfillment of these criteria. On to the final. 3 teams, 1 race, 1 winner. Nothing else mattered.
The Australians are the fastest and the French are in the best position. The Americans might just be stuck in no man's land with 10 seconds to go. The Australians are taking a big dive.
And here we go, 5 seconds to go before the line goes white. Did they hit it right? And it looks to be perfect starting for Jimmy Spithill and Team USA. Australia looked to have the momentum but fell off at the last moment.
The Australians own Mark 1 now, looking to convert that good position onto the downwind. All about the simultaneous jibe that's coming up next.
What can the American and the French team do to get ahead of this Australian team? They love being in the lead. Oh, that looks a little bit loose though.
Oh man, he said watch
Kept
the rudders and shouted no. Oh, he's got no rudders. That means the lift of the rudders, the back of the boat fell out of the sky. That could be the moment that the Americans sail past them. And we do have a lead change. The Australians could go from first to third.
That could be the moment of the match as the USA now catapults themselves into first place after that mistake. Unfortunate for Australia.
So as Tom turned down into the jibe, he said, I've lost my rudders, I've lost my rudders. You can see his hand twisting, the wheel shakes in his hand, and you can hear his frustration and look at the disappointment on the trimmer.
This is a very precarious situation for the rest of the fleet. Just 3 boats out on the course, Freddie, so it is wide open. You give Jimmy Spithill that much canvas and that much room, it's a dangerous proposition.
This is a massive moment of the race. We've got the Australians joining from the other side of the race course as Jimmy Spithill winds the boat up into attack to face the Australians, but it's the French that have wound up in pressure. It's the French that are on starboard. It's the French that should own this mark, and there is multiple lead changes on leg 3.
Terrible tack by the American team there. Again, under the pressure, they really needed to nail that. They could have made it half the Australian team, but the French getting ahead, they just laid that mark. They perfected their lay line on that last tack, that one extra manoeuvre. Wow, this final is all on, isn't it?
This is the race for the win in Plymouth. Oh man, they go round the leeward mark together onto the final 2 legs of the course. It's going to be about which side the best breeze is on here, Matt. A 31-metre lead for the Australians over the French, but they will split again. Will Tom Slingsby tack and face them?
What's amazing is we've got 2 legs to go, and the entire 3-boat fleet are within 100 meters of each other.
Australia are going to get their 2 or 3 seconds before the French, and it's about how they manage the bearaways. Lot of pressure on the flight controllers.
Rounding at the same time, this is all on.
If you fall off the foils, you lose the win. It's all about crew work on the final downwind. Keep the boat in the air, keep the boat ripping. This is the jibe to land the Australians in front of the French. Will the French be able to use the downspeed of the Australians to step past them?
No issue with him.
No issue with him is the call off board the Australians. And they're accelerating. That might have been the jibe that won the event.
And now it's Australia with a quick blast to the finish line. No more maneuvers needed for them as France is in second as they watch the Aussies get up to 60 kilometers an hour.
They did the worst jibe of the day on the first downwind to give up the lead. They did the best jibe of the day to win this event.
And the defending champions get their first overall win of the season.
We're just starting the roller coaster, I think. We've got plenty more turns to come, and now we're back at the top, and we're only 3 events in, so there's no form guide. Every team has their day, and we've just got to hold on for the ride and try to make that final race.
The season's rankings had been shuffled, more pressure applied. Aarhus in Denmark is the next venue, and there's plenty to consider before then. New leaders, new players, new threats, and even new technology. In SailGP, the development keeps going, and the pressure never stops.